Hi, welcome to Hillcrest Sermons, growing together.
Show us your heart's delight.
If we haven't met, my name is James. I'm one of the pastors here at Hillcrest. And just for the past few weeks, we've been in a series called Relational, inTension. We've been just exploring how spiritual maturity is connected with relational maturity. If we want to be spiritually mature, then we have to become relationally mature because our spirituality is connected with people that we relate with. We've been exploring just different aspects of how individuals come together with their stories, their histories, their strengths, weaknesses, hopes, and fears, and they come together and connect. And sometimes those the things that we bring into our relationships can result in some tension between people. And so our hope for this series as we go through Romans 12 through 16 is that we would move from relationships with tension in them to intentional relationships. And so we find ourselves today at week 4 of that journey. And we're going to talk about we're going to kind of like zero in on one particular verse in our passage. Alex mentioned it earlier that last week Tim really taught about the fact that love is with, and love sees, and love listens. And I think this concept here is going to set us up well for today's topic. So we're gonna hone down in on Romans 12:15, which says, "Rejoice with those who rejoice, and mourn with those who mourn." So we're gonna set down into this today. And I don't know about you, but I think for the most part, most of us are pretty comfortable with the first half of this verse. Rejoice with those who rejoice. It's pretty comfortable to celebrate when someone's celebrating, to cheer when someone's cheering, to smile when someone's smiling. And I think that, sure, we could probably all use to celebrate some more, like that's a good thing. But I would say that the second half of this verse is a little less comfortable for most of us, to mourn with those who mourn. But pain and hardship is a part of all of our lives. It can come in many different forms. It can come through disappointments. It can come through loss. It can be connected to physical realities, emotional realities. It can come through mental health challenges, financial struggles. But pain and hardship are human realities, especially on this side of heaven. And these realities impact our relationships. What we learned last week is love is with, love sees, and love listens. It applies directly to what we're going to talk about today. Being with and seeing others and listening to others actually empowers us to mourn with people who mourn. I want to give you a heads up just a little bit today about just what we're gonna talk about today. Sometimes we come to church and it's like things are light and cheery, and other times we come to church and the things we're talking about are a little heavier or may kind of hit something that's sensitive in us. And my hope is today that we would all grow to look more like Jesus and that our relationships would grow deeper. We're going to hear a story today that is full of pain and hardship. And ultimately, we're going to hear about what it can look like to mourn with those who mourn. Unfortunately, in my life, I've experienced pain and hardship. And I know from being a pastor in this community for a year that there's a lot of pain and hardship that's in this room. Like, I could point out specific people that I know of that have significant things going on that they're dealing with. People that are physically just fighting for their health to be restored. I know that there are people whose relationships are in peril, marriages that are on the brink of breakdown. I know that there are people in this room whose mental health has been just a really challenging space, and they don't know how they're going to continue. I know that there are lots of us here who have lost loved ones in our lives. And pain and hardship, they are a part of our realities. And if you're not experiencing those things right now, hallelujah. But I'm sure that you will. And also, there are probably people in your lives right now that are experiencing those things. And so how do pain and hardship, how do those things relate to our relationships? One of the things that I've realized when I come close with someone who's experienced tragedy and trauma or hardship is that that reality introduces tension into our relationship, which I didn't always notice this before. It took me a while. You know, I shared a couple weeks ago about how I'm like growing to be more self-reflective. So this is a part of that experience. But I actually hate when people are suffering. And I want to fix it. Does anybody else want to fix it? Does anybody else want to remove the pain from people's lives, the suffering that they experience? I just want to take it away. And so often I found I can't do that, right? There's like nothing I can do to fix what people are going through. And this tension, this tension of like, I'm seeing that someone's in this, and I want to remove that from them, but I can't, is uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable for me. And when things are uncomfortable, so often it's easy for us to hesitate in our relationships. So often, I've heard this, I've thought this, and I've heard this from so many, but, you know, like, I can't fix it, and what would I even say if I were to call someone who's going through tragedy? What do I say? Like, I don't even know what to say. And that causes me to hesitate. But if love is with, and love sees, and love listens, then love doesn't actually have to fix the hardships and the pain. Today, our scripture, Mourn with Those Who Mourn, it calls us to move towards people in their pain, even if we can't fix it, even if there's nothing that we can say that will change their reality. We are supposed to move towards people in their pain. And so that's the big idea for today. If you walk away with one kind of statement that you'll remember, it's this: move towards people in their pain. For us to grow relationally and spiritually mature, we need to be more like firefighters. Okay, so we all have this like self-preservation instinct in us that's to like move away from danger, move away from things that are uncomfortable. But firefighters, they're trained over time to actually do the opposite of that instinct and to move towards the danger to help people. And I think that our scripture today calls us to make that kind of shift, to move towards people instead of moving away from people when they're in pain. So for the rest of our time today, we're gonna hear from a story. We're gonna hear a story from somebody who's experienced pain, hardship, and someone who has had people move towards them in their pain. And so Stevie, I would like to invite you up. If you haven't met Stevie, he's a beautiful man. And, you know, sorry, that was awkward. It's true though, man, especially when your hair is fresh, bro, I love it. So Stevie, when I was a campus pastor with Bellingham Chi Alpha, our college ministry, Stevie was a student there. And I got to walk with him in a mentoring relationship for a number of years. And I can just say, when I first met him, he was relatively immature. Okay, like he was, but now
That's fair.
But now,
Yeah.
he has been
come a long
growing
way.
into just a really awesome
Yeah.
man of God. And as Stevie was graduating college, he decided to do the internship with CCF, and I got to be his supervisor for that experience. And after that, he was discerning what does the Lord want for him in his life, like vocationally, what's he going to do? And he felt called. He was invited to, but he felt called to join the campus ministry team with CCF up there on campus at Western. And at that summer, the summer between the end of his internship and the beginning of the school year, Stevie experienced something significant. And so I'm going to sit with you and invite you to share your story. And I think, Stevie, I just want to say, like this is a vulnerable thing that Stevie's doing here. He's going to share some of his story with us. And I got some tissue in my pocket in case we need
tissue?
it.
I thought about that. I don't have any
like
tissue.
looking for it. I don't know. It's
I'll
all,
do some group therapy
it's
here, you know what I mean?
unused.
Let's
It's
get to
unused.
it. Okay, here we go.
Here, I'll separate it because I might need some.
I need some. You need some.
Anyways, Stevie, we'd love to just invite you to share some of your story with us. And he's going to share some of the pain, and he's going to share some of the ways in which God met him in that pain through others. So.
Yeah. Hey, Hillcrest, what's up? This is great to be with you all. Hey, what's up? This is so fun. I mean, here we go. Hardship, suffering. Dude, what a hard thing to talk about. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But I think I was really excited when I got the opportunity to share because this church, this family has been so integral in my journey of healing, of recovery, of getting through this, and continuing to keep going. And so I was really excited it felt really special to be able to share a bit kind of behind the scenes of what God did, how he showed up through people in this room and other communities as well. So it was July of 2020, which was a tough year for all of us. No one was having a good time. There were a few moments. There were a few things. And so I was riding my bike with my family. Oh, here's a picture. Just hanging, man. It was almost like a day that was too good to be true. You know what I mean? Like it was like with my family. I was meeting them on Whidbey Island. They were on the other side of the island, and I wanted to have the idea of riding my bike. It'd be awesome. Let's get outside. Let's do it.
He was getting healthy at the time.
I was like, let's get exercising. You know what I mean? Like, let's do it. New year, new me. And then I was riding my bike. It was great. It was like an awesome bike ride. I mean, it was great. And then two-thirds into it, I was hit by a car. This woman was impaired driver. I flipped onto the windshield, rolled into a ditch, and was helicoptered to Providence Hospital in Everett. My mom was like looking up on my friends where I was, and she's like, Providence Hospital? What's going on? I mean, it was just crazy. Like in seconds, my life just changed. And I think what was so, unique about waking up, from that and being told you aren't going to walk again, I mean, there's just so much to that. But it was just wild that still today, I'm still living that reality. That moment is still like changing how I got up from the ramp, today. And it's still something that, I'm journeying through and learning about. And so I wanted to share as well a picture. Here's me. The first month was me in Providence Hospital with my mom. She was the best, man. Because it also was the first COVID case in Providence in Everett Hospital. So they were like locked
First COVID
down.
case in the United States.
Oh, in the United States.
Yeah,
that's helpful. That's
there,
important. Yeah.
So
in the
they
United
were
States,
like, let's lock this place down.
Yeah, they were like, there it is. It's helpful you're here.
Yeah, thank you.
But you're gonna lock it down. James couldn't get it. No one could get in. My mom could get it. Y'all have superpowers, 100%. She got in. So it's me and her. But they don't give me a wheelchair. You know what I mean? I'm just sitting in like a bed for a month. And so what we did is she got me in this recliner and just pushed me to a window. I felt like I was in prison because like I had yard time. You know what I mean? Where I went out in the hallway. She like pushed me. She like would push me towards the window, and I would look outside. This is. I'm like, what is my world right now? I was like literally, a day before that, I was on the way to be a pastor on staff, riding my bike, and now I'm getting pushed in a recliner for my mom. It was just, crazy. And I think, I was talking with James about this too, what was so odd about that first month in particular is I was told, I couldn't walk again, but I still hadn't really experienced that yet, but what I could tell was like, I think I had questions about like who I was, like who am I now, like are my friends still gonna like me? You know what I mean? Like I can't, it's so interesting. I think I honestly, with COVID too, I really learned how much our souls and our bodies are connected and our minds, and so half my body felt dead. It just felt like it was useless, you know what I mean? And so I started having these like, being angry towards myself and just feeling like, again, I think that identity piece felt really significant in that was just so shocking. Never had been confronted with my identity like that before.
Yeah.
I thought I knew who I was, and not even I didn't change, my personality didn't change, nothing like that, but my body changed, and that felt like everything was uncertain, unstable, and really, really just scary, for sure, and overwhelming. So I think that was kind of some of the things I was first experiencing in that first month or so. But yeah. So I really wanted to share with you all. I mean, there's so many stories of, again, I said people in this room that moved towards me. But I want to share a couple of stories that were significant and people moving towards me. And just kind of give you a picture of what that did for me as well. So I was in Providence for a month, and then, praise the Lord, I got to leave. We're out. I got released. It felt like that. They opened the doors, and it was like daylight. Are you serious? Like, what is this?
Yeah.
And then I get driven to UW Medicine for about 21 days. It was like the place to get rehab. I'm saying? This is like, all right, I get a wheelchair. I'm going to learn how to do this. Let's go. And it also was the first time people on the outside could visit me. Yeah. So my sisters had they're just, I'm the youngest, so they tell me what to do. And they're like, all right, we're getting a list for you. We're gonna it's like a sign-up sheet. We're gonna visit you. It's gonna be great. And I'm like, yeah, that's awesome. And also, I was terrified because people actually saw me. This nightmare actually is real. You know what I mean? Like the outside world, it's supposed to end after I left the hospital. It's supposed to be better. You know what I mean? But it wasn't. It was continuing. And so having someone come in to that pain made it more real.
Yeah.
I couldn't I had to face it in a way. And even too, what are we gonna do? Me and my friends, we never had someone like this before. Life never felt too big. You know what I mean? Never felt like, oh, is it? But this moment was too big. We were powerless in it. They couldn't fix it. What were they gonna say that was gonna make this better?
Yeah.
And so I got a couple pictures, though, of some homies that came through. We got Christian, and then Bennett here, too, brought his guitar. So I was looking back, after getting asked this, I started just going down memory lane, and I was like, oh, cool, what worship songs we sang? We didn't sing any of it. We just goofed around, man. We're just just singing about random stuff and laughing and stuff. And I was just thinking what was that experience for them like? I couldn't imagine, going to this hospital, walking in. I mean, you were one of the people, too, and I couldn't imagine the tension, the nerves they felt coming in. And I mean, maybe they were nervous how they're going to talk to me. Am I going to be different? Are our friends, exactly, what are they going to say? Because nothing they could say could fix it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I was thinking about what significance that was, them coming there at that time. And I think it really gave me strength to look at reality, and to look at what was going on. When they showed up with me, it wasn't just me and my pain. They didn't have to say anything, They didn't have to say all right, this is what I would do. Here's my idea to help solve this problem. They were just there with me.
Yeah.
And because I wasn't alone in it, I was like, okay. There was it was actually this actual, it was hard to describe. It was actually this strength and this hope of this big nightmare. Maybe I can look at it. Maybe I can go through this. I don't have to hide from it. I don't have to ignore it, And so there was something, it was really cool. You asking about this and just going to share about this because I think it was an experience like none other. I never felt so powerless, so scared. And to have friends that I can imagine that tension, even when they first when they're going to enter the hospital room, that tension, you know what I mean, of okay. And they broke through that and they entered it. And because of it, I didn't have to be alone in it.
Yeah.
And it was the greatest gift. It was the greatest gift. I could have had in that time for sure. So, yeah. I'm gonna drink some water. I'm getting throat's getting, or my mouth's getting dry here. I'm gonna drink some water here.
Yeah. I think a question I have for you is, I mean, we've talked about friends that you have that that haven't let people in that sense. There's kind of multiple realities. There's realities of people don't have anybody else to let in.
Yeah.
Nobody's moving towards them. But even people that have people moving towards them, sometimes it's just easier not to deal with that tension.
Totally.
And to not let people into it. But I think that was something. Yeah, you were different in that by letting people in. So tell us about how did that?
Yeah.
How was that for you?
Yeah. I mean, it sucked for sure. Like, like in some ways, it's like when you're here, it's so good. It is so good. But like, I think like it's just like, I don't want to look at this. I mean, I don't want people to know me in this way. I don't want to know people that I'm broke. I mean, it's just so unique. It's interesting because you're in a wheelchair, you're vulnerable all the time. Like, like I think you're wheeling around. You're not going to get away from someone faster. Even just practically, you're not going to get faster chasing. You know what I mean? Like, good luck. Even that way. But like, I think it also is. I should have written more notes. I might be saying some stuff here. But I think so. There's a vulnerability you have to it. You know what I mean? There's a weakness to it. You look weak, and I think I don't want people to see me that way.
Yeah.
But it was kind of tough because I also need them to help me out. You know what I mean? I don't want to be alone. I just don't want to get through this without other people. Yeah. But also, I'm gonna look really weak. And it was interesting. We were talking about me and James earlier too about like I was just processing. It was such a weird combination because as I let people into my weakness. Like, it's going to sound so trite, y'all, but I actually found strength. Like, it was just actually like a superpower of letting community help me. Like, in both ways. And what they received from it and what I received from it was so profound and an awesome. I don't know what I've ever done it if I was forced to, And help in different ways, right? Like, help, like, just sharing about it, but even, like, getting help practically in my life, now being disabled, what that. There's just a whole new reality of help that I can invite people into, or I can push them away from that too. And so I think there was an intentional choice to say, okay, I'm gonna invite them into this. I'm gonna share about this. Even in the hospital, let's have people come and see me. I think in the time it didn't feel like it didn't feel too dramatic at the time. I really wanted people to be with me, but I think there was that decision for sure.
Yeah.
In it.
Can you tell us about some of the like smaller moments that were?
Yes, totally. I was thinking about this again. This it's so fun when you start talking about this kind of stuff. Moving towards people, you start thinking about your own life. How do you move towards myself? And there's actually a person in my life, my family. I was like, I keep thinking about giving them a call, but then you get too busy, you know what I mean? You're like, I don't have the time, Or even with this case too, I was like, it was a while ago, this whole thing. They're probably fine, you know what I mean? And then I was thinking about my own story, and actually I was thinking about this story I'm going to share in particular, and how God can really use small gestures, small movements towards people. It doesn't have to be some dramatic thing to really make a really, really profound impact. And so here's a photo of a sign of like different people had written. It's so sweet, just a bunch of, just like, you got this, let's go, And this was my view. You're kind of getting like my view right here in my hospital bed. I just was there for a month, just hanging out. I mean, I remember the only thing that we could do is put elastic bands on the sides of the bed, and I would just be like trying to do a workout, like do something, you know what I mean? And so when I first started waking up and coming to, and that's what I first saw right there was, hey, we're with you. We see you. We love you. And that has just, I love this story because that's just been true the whole time. I feel like God was just right there saying, I see you and I love you. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And that's been true this whole time. That's just grown, in different ways. And what I thought about this too was like, how much time did that take someone to make that sign? I mean, it was probably so insignificant in their whole grand scheme of their life, raising kids, whatever they were doing, you know what I mean? They wrote this sign, gave it to my mom, and she put it up there. But what a gift that was for me, that I'm in this darkness, I'm in a nightmare, and there's this light right there. It says, hey, you are not alone in it.
Yeah.
And that's everything. It's really, I can't even put words to it. I wish you all could like just know what that felt like in that moment, being so scared and so alone, just like taken out of your life and put in something awful. And there were people saying, you aren't alone in that. We see you in that. We're with you. Yeah. We can't experience it. We can't fix it, but we want to be close to you. And that was some cool moment for sure. So appreciate that.
Let's show the next
slide.
picture.
Yes. This one too. I love this one. It says, nothing isn't popsicle. It's so funny. That's hilarious. Like, I'm not sure if you wrote that, you should I don't know who that was. I don't know who that was, but I love that moment. It was a great laugh. And like 4 seconds or whatever. Pretty cool popsicle picture. And that was a gift. So I just want people to hear that. You know what I mean? Like, and that was a reminder to me. So then I definitely called that person up. I can't make excuses now. And it's just what God can use, right? To deliver his love, deliver his presence through us.
Moving towards people doesn't have to take, insignificant actions can have a lot of meaning.
That's it. Yeah. That's it. Yeah, 100%. 100%.
That's good. Man, I'm so grateful. I'm just like processing, my side of my experience of it, and all the things you said, the tensions and I experienced all that.
With me, 100%.
Almost got arrested outside of the hospital because they thought we were trying to break in.
That's crazy. That's when I first was leaving prison, aka Providence Hospital, which is a great hospital. They saved my life actually. So. Yeah. Legit, but it was also just terrible.
Yeah.
And so but then I'm leaving the hospital, for the first time, and there's James and Lisa, my sister, were there.
Yeah.
Were the first people I got to see outside of Providence Hospital, and
officer came on with the lights on, and hey, we've gotten 8 reports of people trying to break in, and they're like. And we're like, what? We're standing across the sidewalk. Like, we're not making any movements towards it.
Yeah.
And so they brought Stevie out, and we're like, what's up? From like a block away.
Yeah. Like, what's up? Yeah.
And then finally one of the EMTs like, let us go over. And it was, again, that was a hard moment for me because it was the first time, really anybody besides your mom had gotten to see you. And that was it. Again, that we're trying to portray like there's tension that happens.
Yep.
And just pushing through it is powerful. So, Stevie, I'm so grateful for you to share all of this stuff. I think while we have all of our Hillcrest family here, I mostly just want to ask you, like, if there's, if you could say anything to this community about mourning with those who mourn, moving towards people in their pain. What would you say to us, Stevie?
Yeah, first wanted to say was a thank you. I was, just going to reflect more on the impact many of you here have made on my life. And I had to take an opportunity to say thank you. I have friends, and I've heard stories of other people who also had the same moment like I've had in my life, and who didn't have a community like this to move towards them. And my life is so much better because it's so different, my story, because of your choice to just be with me in it, to help me out, to lend a hand, to say, how are you doing? So please hear that. Thank you. And I'm so grateful for it. Yeah. I also want to share too, I think, as well, was just thinking about, again, we're talking about moving towards people and just encouragement, in your life to move towards people that are near you. I think about, you all are so good at this already, you know what I mean? I think it's an encouragement, it's a reminder of the impact of seeing someone and entering that pain, breaking through that barrier and moving towards that. And so I pray, I invite you to hear my story as just a reminder of how God wants to deliver. People are praying right now in this room for God to move in their life. They're praying for the outside of these walls, for God to move in their life. And we actually are the ones to answer those prayers, right? We're the ones that deliver God's presence to people through a silly card, you know what I mean? Through a phone call, through a hug, those kind of things. My story is just it's so good. There's thinking about there's like a darkness. I think, again, I was thinking about my friends and people I've experienced a different experience than I've had. And I think of the darkness that they've had in their life. And I've had that too in my life, with being a wheelchair and all that. But like, it talks in John about, the light overcomes darkness, right? And light has entered the world. And I think of how light has been way more powerful in my life than darkness, and it's because of people like you all have brought that light into my life. And so just encouragement to bring that to other people. And, I also wanted to as well talk to people who maybe right now are experiencing your own darkness, your own pain right now. Just invite you to share that with somebody. Invite you to let someone in on that. Again, I think what I was praying for was a miracle. What I was praying for was getting through this. What I was praying for was God to meet me. I needed him close. And I'm actually looking at people right here who brought God to me. You know what I mean? But I had to do that. I had to invite that in. I had to say, okay, God, you're welcome into my life. You know what I mean? You're welcome into my pain, into that place in my life. And so just want to invite you to, if you're in that place right now, in that darkness, invite you to let someone in into that too.
Yeah.
So.
Well, thank you, Stevie.
Yeah, for sure.
We're called to mourn with those who mourn. And Galatians says it this way: carry each other's burdens, and thus fulfill the law of Christ. And that has two sides to it, as Stevie just pointed out to us, that we need one side of the equation to move towards the other. And we also need the people experiencing pain and hardship to be open. You can't carry someone's burden if you don't know that it's a burden or that there's a burden there. And so I think just as we thought and talked about how to kind of close this time, and when we gather together, we really want this to be a space where God moves in our lives, not just like that we go and watch a movie. And I just know of specific pains that are out there. And I'm sure that you know of pain in this room. People that might need someone to move towards them. And so I think just as we close our time together, we just kind of left a good amount of time after this. The team's going to lead us. They're going to lead us in a song that's just meant to create a space for us to reflect. And in that reflection time, I just want to invite us. If you know someone in this room that is experiencing pain or hardship, mourning, that maybe you would physically move towards them as we close this time, just in the last couple of songs that we have. Maybe you are experiencing pain in your life or hardship, and you haven't opened the door to let people know. Maybe this would be a space for you to just let somebody in on what you're going through, so that somebody can move towards you in that pain. And so that's an invitation. I imagine that each of us have people in our lives that are not here in this room that are going through hardships. And so maybe even during this response time, you can send a text to somebody and say, hey, I see you. I want to be with you. Maybe it's to set up a visit or a phone call. I think of what would it be like if every one of us is moving towards people in their pain around us, what the impact that we see in Stevie's life and that you've experienced, what would it be like for that to just emanate from each of us? And then also for us to receive that kind of stuff. I know I've grown because of your openness, allowing me to sit with you. And that's really changed me and transformed me. And so I'm grateful for your willingness to let me in. And so that's just an invitation. As this first song is sung, it's just meant for us to take time and reflect. And I think after this first song, if there's somebody in this room that you feel like, hey, someone they might could use somebody to move towards them. I would just invite you to actually do that, like to move towards them. Hey, let me give you a hug. Let me pray for you. Maybe if you're somebody who's experiencing pain and people in your life don't know much about it, maybe this is a time where you would move towards someone and say, hey, I just need to let somebody know about this. Would you pray with me? And so I just want to create a space. We're not, Hillcrest, a lot of times we don't move that much during the service, you know. If we were a black church, it might look a little different. But, you know, like calmly walking to somebody and putting your hand on their shoulder, we can do that, okay? Like we can,
let's go.
it's okay.
Yes.
And we have space for it. So I just want to invite us to this. I just had a sense that, that people need this kind of movement towards one another today, this morning. And so I hope that at the end of this time, that this will be, that people will be able to say, God really met me as we moved towards each other in our hardship, as we broke through that tension. So just an invitation. Thanks for leading us, team, in this song of reflection. And would invite you to actually make a move towards somebody after this first song.
Thanks for listening. For more info, visit hcbellingham.com and join us any Sunday, 9 and 11 a.m.